All right, so we're gonna talk about the draft. This is just an analysis of the draft, not necessarily what happened in the game. I may mention a couple things that happened in the game, but I'll do my best to refrain and only talk about the draft and how this played out. So when we think about the draft and what happened in the draft, we have what you all wanted to do and what ended up happening. So let's look at first what you all wanted, what you said you wanted. What was wrong, tab? So what you were hoping was set in the top lane, J4 in the mid lane. Ignore that. That's me. Nico in the mid lane, J4 in the jungle. Sorry. Ezreal, Yumi bot. And if we think about what this comp would have looked like, I'm not really sure how you all envisioned this comp to go. I remember Tyler saying go tank J4. The way Tyler builds set has early damage, but is more tanky later. So we got tank, AP damage, mixed damage, but mainly AD and healing. So we got support. Um, we've got tank. We've got some good engage. We've got good engage. We've got good engage. We've got good disengage. We have mixed damage between these two. The issue that we're going to run into though is we're pinning all of our. If these two are going tank, we're pinning all of our AP damage onto Nico. Regardless of how these two build, we're putting all of our AP damage onto Nico. Yumi realistically isn't going to be putting out enough AP that they're going to be like, we have to build him more, right? Like it's got to be the Nico. So Nico now it has this all this pressure that you've created just through the draft alone of where she has to put out enough AP damage that they're even going to want to build him more. Because if let's say she's a non-factor, they just build armor for these three. And what's realistically got to happen is Nico will still put out damage because they didn't build MR, but everyone else feels so useless. And so we're just thinking about the draft before it even starts. We're putting a lot onto the mid lane in terms of being able to put out enough magic damage that they at least respect build some MR. And we don't have a whole lot of tools if that doesn't happen. Um, Sean's picks was to say change the mid lane to Karma, which is another supportive. All of a sudden, we've got an unkillable Ezreal. We've got shields and heals, depending on how you build. We've got shields and heals. We've got Ezreal putting out his mixed damage, but mainly AD. Zac with Cinder Hulk and possibly a Thornmail is putting out a lot of magic damage just innately. If you've ever played against a Zac in a game, you know what I'm talking about. For some reason it's still stupid high, just like Ornn is on the damage charts, and a lot of it just comes with his kit and things that come into that. So they may not build MR, but they still might. Karma's still got to put out enough. Yumi enough, just enough. Like these two alone wouldn't be worth any MR, but these two plus Zac, if they don't build MR, which they may not because they don't see a huge AP threat, then they're going to take a lot of damage. And this team fight looks so good, right? We've got engage. Um, things go well or wrong. Karma's putting out a mantra shield. Shield never won, and Ezreal should be virtually untouched. As long as Yumi sticks onto the Ezreal, if they engage onto him, she presses R, they get stunned up. These guys peel back. She's using his mantra shields. Karma plus Yumi is a stupid combo. Like it is unreal. This is good. Um, I'm not saying which draft would be better, but you've heard the pros and cons of each. The con of this one is you're putting a lot of hope onto Nico to put out enough magic damage. Otherwise, everyone else is going to feel pretty useless when the enemy gets to stack armor. And in this comp, feels a little bit more cohesive, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily better, especially since I've never seen um, Mina play Karma. Um, I don't think ever. That's an Anya pick, and so that's you're asking her to play a pick that she's not as familiar with. Um, I don't even know if Xeno plays Ezreal, if I'm being honest. But you all were talking about, so this is where we're at. The more I look at Ezreal, the more I feel like I've spelled it wrong. What a morning. Anyway, so here's what we're hoping for. Now let's talk about what actually happens. They come in and they're like, we don't want to see. Hold on, give me a second to. I thought I had it pulled up, but here we go. So they're like, we don't want to see Warwick. Oops, wrong ban. So their first ban is Warwick, and then that makes sense. Xeno plays it um, pretty dang well, if we're being honest. It's one of his highest win rate ones. We banned Nunu, and this is interesting to me because if we look at this, their jungler don't play Nunu. Let's just play a game here. Control, find Nunu. Nope, didn't work. What about season 9? This dude play Nunu? Nope. What about season? Nope. Nope. Cool. Okay, so it's not their jungler that we're worried about. So then it must be Weenie Hut Juniors, because that's the only place I can think of Nunu going. He's not support anymore like he used to be. Way back in the day. I spelled something wrong. Weenie Hut Juniors. And this is where we start to see, oh, okay, this dude's got a 65% win rate with Nunu. I get it. And if we scroll down far enough to find where these Nunu games are, it's not a jungler. He's playing it mid. And it's interesting that you all ban it because I think you all see the high win rate and you're like, oh, ban. Nunu mid's not broken. Sean will be the first to tell you how to counter it. One of the best ways, since you gotta think about it from his perspective, Nunu's goal is to use his snowball to shove the lane faster than anyone, and then use a snowball to go gank on the side lanes. Two things that can counter this: vision control, good disengage in your side lanes, and being able to stop him from ever using his snowball to clear the wave. Because if he doesn't get to clear that wave, he's feeling pretty useless in this 1v1 until he can walk away, build up another big snowball, and clear this wave. So there are champs that can do this, and we actually play them. Nico with her E can literally let's just pretend for a second that this is the play here. Actually, let's just pretend that we have Nico versus Nunu in our lanes, right? Nunu, building up his snowball. Nico steps out in front of the wave, throws her E at him. He gets rooted. His snowball just kind of fizzles out. And now the wave's still here. And then she can shove him under turret and then go establish vision. So Nico gonna whoop him. Let's say you don't want to play Nico, you want to play Anivia, another staple of Mina. She just presses her W wall, which it feels weird to take at level 1, but you gotta think I'm stopping this Nunu mid from being effective. You use your W wall, he runs into it, he can't go around that thing realistically, and all of a sudden you've stopped him from being effective. And which really means you get a pretty free lane as a Nivea to farm up and scale pretty hard. Okay, let's say you don't even want to do that. You want to match him in his roaming power. Another Mina staple. Shoves literally equally as hard after getting Tiamat. Yes, you're waiting until the Tiamat, but his roam is way more effective and way more damage because he's relying on his snowball to land, and he's got a pretty clear path about how he's going to go about that. He's not weaving through anything. Like you just ward up the river, and it's pretty easy. Talon can floop across walls and get in way more creative ganks than Nunu ever could. So Talon's, while not a counter in the lane, definitely a counter on the roams, and he can follow pretty easily if he gets the right jumps and has the right walls. Obviously, he's got to wait for the wall cooldowns, but he can definitely match, right? He can match the wave clear push with Tiamat, and he can match the roam. So we've got options. So it's interesting that we ban Nunu, but because you all actually have the answers to go against it. But let's just respect ban. This dude's got a 65% win rate with it. Let's get it out of there. I get it. And then they counter with the Nico ban. So all of a sudden it makes a little bit of sense. Now you are down to Anivia and Talon. Still options, but maybe they were going to funnel you onto that. Maybe their next ban was going to be Anivia, and I could see that actually. If I'm being honest with you, I think they've banned that before against you. They at least know Mina plays it, right? They've seen her play against them. This is obviously a respect ban. They may do double respect bans, so they could be purposely funneling her into a Talon and then picking a counter pick. So nothing so wrong with the draft so far. You all respect ban Vagar, perfect. Vagar actually, ironically, would have been a nice counter to the Nunu also. You put up Vagar E, Nunu feels useless. Then you have a free lane to farm up. just another option. I don't know if I've seen Mina play Vagar though, so it's not a big deal. Trying to focus on the champs that you all play, not necessarily like the perfect counters and things. They respect Bam with Mordekaiser, and ironically, that helps with the whole conversation we were having earlier about having too much AP or too much AD and all that kind of stuff. Um, so with the Mordekaiser ban though, Tyler's champ pool is now restricted to mainly AD. So if Mina were to play the Talon in the mid lane, we would have to have an AP jungler, or an AP support putting out enough magic damage. But it's beside the point. They ban out the Mord, and you all ban Garen. I didn't understand this ban. I can see it from if you all are super set on the set that maybe Set and Garen have a bad matchup. I do know from a recent normal game with Tyler that we were very frustrated with Garen recently. But the thing is, Dragdon doesn't play this dude, and if he does, he's going to be pretty new to it. I mean, this dude's silver. He's not going to be super great on any champ that he first plays. Why am I typing Garen up there? So if you look at his champ pool, he's not playing Garen in any season that I can find. Like, I don't know. It's not worth going back super far, obviously. So I didn't understand this ban other than y'all being pretty clear about what you're gonna pick. I think a better ban would have been an ADC or a support, since that's where they're playing around. You didn't use a single ban on their ADC or support in the first round. They could conceivably pick their favorite bot lane support combo within their first 3 picks. You've let them have the option to first pick Ezreal, which could be flexed to mid or even in the jungle. These guys don't play, but I'm just letting you know that these are options. Ezreal is a pretty dang good flex pick. As a B1, he's one of the best B1 picks there is because of that flex potential and you not knowing what you're actually countering. And then you've also opened them up to, within their first 3 picks, getting exactly what they want. But nothing about what you wanted other than the Nico pick is gone. Now, if we're thinking about like what Nico brought to the table, I actually think that that's fine. I didn't necessarily like the Nico pick. Actually think Anivia is better. She brings in the wave clear that Nico lacks in the late game. Nico's not going to be clearing out. If they get Baron and Inhib, y'all did not have the wave clear to deal with this. With this comp, y'all were doomed if they ever got Inhibs and Barons and things like that. And so you got to realistically plan for these things. I think Anivia would have been a nice call in the mid lane to at least round out your composition with still a huge AP threat, but also bringing in that wave clear and a good team fight potential, especially. And so we're looking at what they pick, and they insta lock Leona. They are already showing you their hand on what they're going to be doing. Like let's think about this for a second. What does Leona bring to the table? If they don't build an engaged comp around Leona, one, why the heck are they first picking it? They're showing their intentions pretty clearly. But if they don't build around that, then Leona's got to feel pretty useless as someone who just presses R to run away, which is not realistic, right? Like that's not what Leona wants to do, and that's not why they would first pick it. So they're like insta lock Leona. We're already showing you our hand, and whether you believe them or not, it's whatever. I liked this pick as your first pick for a lot of reasons. If this were the regular season, I actually have a lot of interesting ideas for what we can do with the fact that we have several people who play set well. Both Sean and Tyler play set very well. We have really strong flux pick with the set. If we get and I know Wolfgang likes the idea of learning set or playing set in the jungle because when he first came out, Wolfgang was trying to play him. If we get support to play set to go along with that, we have a ridiculously strong flex pick right here. I love the set pick. Not necessarily because of what he brings to the table, but because we have people who are good on him on our team, and how we could flex that around if we have a support to learn him, and if Wolfgang can put in a couple of games in the jungle, or Oscar could put a couple of games in the jungle, or whoever's playing jungle put a couple of games in the jungle. But in this particular game, it's Wolfgang. This could have been a good flex, but He's in the top lane. We know this because of what you all want to do. They don't know this. Honestly, Set's a ridiculous counter to Leona. Imagine this for a second in the bot lane. Leona's like, I'm going in, and Set's like, E, combo, everything. And Leona's like, I'm having a bad game. I don't want to go in. Like, I'm literally just going to sit here and help us farm. Like, I don't want to play this game right now. Get us out of the laning phase, please. I don't like this game anymore. This is what Leona feels like going against a Set support. Set support would have absolutely owned Leona and made her feel like this is a bad game to play. League of Legends is a bad game. But we know it's top. They don't know this, though. And then we're going along with our picks. I like this. We're sticking to what we said we were going to do. I don't whether I agree with our original idea or not is not the point. The fact is, y'all are going along with your picks, and they do something really stupid. They had the perfect opportunity to get whatever bot lane they wanted, and they're like, "I'm dumb. I'm gonna draft Zach and Aurelia." Here's why I don't like this. If this was you all, I would say the same thing to you all. I'd say this is dumb. Not only do we know now their intentions with the rest of their comp, which we knew from B1, but that's not the point. We also, if we didn't like the Set matchup and we were going to flex this to support, could counterpick here, and we have 3 more picks to build around whatever team comp they have of this super engaged comp. Because if they don't build an engaged comp with the last 2 picks, they are trolling. They are going to have the worst time because none of their picks are going to work well together. Going in. All these like to team fight. They want to team fight as 5. They want to team fight well. Aurelia, I don't think they might be looking for a 1-3-1, but Henry Clay doesn't play 1-3-1. If you've ever thought about how we play against them, they don't play 1-3-1 or 1-4. They play team fight. They play hard engage or hard disengage or a combo of both. They play they look for some winning lane matchups and transitioning that to team fights. All they care about are the team fights. That's all they've ever cared about. They look for those 5v5s and they are building around it. And we have a chance to either stop that. And so if you think about how do you stop a team fight comp, you either with your last 3 picks, get a lot of disengage and make their lives hell. Picks like Morgana with her Black Shield. Picks like think about if you were trying to engage, what would you hate going into? Heimerdinger turrets are a really good example. Imagine Heimerdinger turrets set up in any sort of place, and then Zach trying to jump in on that. So imagine for a second that you draft Heimerdinger at all in any respect. That they're gonna have a bad time. Zyra is a really bad time. Zyra played well at least. Not using her as an engage, but using her to create so many plants that when they engage, they're taking a stupid amount of magic damage, which helps out round out your comp with the magic damage problem we talked about earlier. Heimer and Zyra both do this. I'm not saying Heimer support's a good idea, but I am saying we got to be thinking about a little bit more than everything else that's going on. Mina doesn't play Heimer, only Connor does, so it would be a little weird. But I could see it being a thing. I could see, not a meta thing, but it's still a thing for you all. It doesn't have to be meta to win. That's never been the case in any game of League of Legends. It doesn't have to be meta to win. Otherwise, you wouldn't be banning Nunu mid. It's not the meta. It's just a good pick because it works, because people play it well, because people know how to play it well, and because a lot of people don't know how to play around it. I bet they wouldn't know how to play around a Heimerdinger support. Like, there are options to you. So they are showing their hand. It's our turn to counter this. And I remember the conversation in the Twitch stream. Oh crap, we didn't ban Caitlyn. They could pick Caitlyn. We need to pick Caitlyn before they pick Caitlyn. Hold on a second. They could have picked it here. That would have actually been a way better pick for them in B2 or B3 to pick Caitlyn. Maybe they don't own the champs and they can't trade, but they didn't pick Caitlyn. They didn't pick their ADC at all. They threw away that opportunity they had to get the perfect bot lane for themselves. We don't have to pick Caitlyn. We can keep going with what you all said you wanted to do. Why do I keep going to that? Which is Ezreal. Y'all should have picked Ezreal here. This is the perfect pick. This is the disengage you need from this. This is the pick you all wanted. This is the perfect pick here. You can ban Caitlyn here if you're really super afraid of Caitlyn. Instead, we pick Caitlyn. Keeping it from them, even though we're forgetting we're about to ban anyway, we could keep it from them anyway. I don't like Caitlyn at all as a pick. We think about what she brings to a team. She brings siege potential. Imagine her setting up traps in front of a turret and sieging, and she also could set up traps for the jungle so that they can't, walk around. But the problem is they have a Zac. Zac's got to hop over anything that she puts down. Like Caitlyn's gonna have a bad time, and if she doesn't have the disengaged partners, which you all didn't pick Morgana, you all didn't pick Thresh with his lantern, you all don't have your support picked at all. Set I guess would have been good, but realistically, Caitlyn is not going to have a good time if these guys get onto her. She's not going to be able to peel for herself, and we don't have peel picked, and they can ban out good peels. Caitlyn's got to have a pretty bad game. If you ask Zeno after this game how he feels about that Caitlyn pick, he's going to tell you that was not the right pick. If you ask him, could it have gone better if the laning had gone better? Maybe. I still doubt it. I still think they get onto him. I still think they make his life super hard. So we've got Caitlyn with this long range. She could be a lane bully, but we don't have any way to keep her from being engaged on if she's bullying too hard and they decide I'm going in. Leona decides she's going in. We haven't picked that yet, and we've opened it up for them to ban. And so we get to the next phase of bans, and we ban Lucian, which is a great partner to Leona. They ban Morgana. This is where it's like, okay, crap. There goes one of Connor's best champs, and one of our best ways of protecting this Caitlyn that we're putting a lot of hopes on now with our 80-80-80. And Caitlyn's going to need to be hitting hard early so that they can't start stacking armor, because if they stack armor, these three champs all of a sudden feel real stupid. Ezreal at least had a little bit of mixed damage. These three champs do not. They stack armor on these three champs here: Aurelia, Tabby, and Dust Dance, Zac, Randuin's Thornmail, Leona, Knight's Vow, anything. I don't care. These three champs are going to feel real stupid. And so we get to our next ban. I think Ashe is, since you picked Caitlyn, I think Ashe was the perfect ban. I think these next two bans were good considering you picked Caitlyn. I think these next two bans are exactly what you needed to do since you picked Caitlyn. They're good partners with Leona. They would have had a lot of damage onto Caitlyn early and snowballed a game possibly. But whatever. They get rid of Vel'Koz, which I could see being a really good support. They've obviously targeted Connor with these last few picks. Connor's now pigeonholed into his support. Now imagine for a second though Connor played Set. They would have just wasted two bans on Connor, even though we've got Set Caitlyn, which is a really good combo, which makes Leona hate her life. Like, this is why I want us to be able to flex. I'm not saying we can flex right now. I'm saying this is why I want this to be a thing. Because imagine for a second they waste these two bans here. It's like we weren't even that's funny. You just wasted two bans, right? It'd be the same stupid feeling you'd have if you found out it was Leona Aurelia bot and then you wasted two bans on ADCs, even though they would have been stupid to do that anyway. But right now, they've targeted out not only Connor, but the two best champs to stop what they're trying to do. Morgana's Black Shield stops them, and then her ult, once they come under her, she doesn't have to go forward to get her ult off onto them. They come to her, and she just has a Zanya's and presses R, and she's feeling pretty good about this game. She feels like she's doing a lot in this game. Vel'Koz loves fighting team fight comps because in any sort of narrow corridor, he just absolutely whoops anything that they could possibly do. So we've got Connor's best picks for this particular comp out, but lucky for us, they don't know. We were already at Pick Demi. You know what's incredible though is the thing is, if this had been the Ezreal, if this had been Ezreal, we would have had everything we wanted, everything we had planned for, everything we had ever desired regarding this stuff. And I actually think Ezreal Yumi is really good against their comp because he can, especially if he takes cleanse, uh, they aren't really going to get on him very easily at all. If they jump at him, you've got Yumi to press R. Like imagine for a second they engage on him. Yumi just presses R, and Ezreal E's backwards with her. They are not getting on him easily. They're gonna have a hard time engaging onto Ezreal Yumi. Like this, your idea was good, and you didn't stay with your idea, and I wish you had. I just wish you had. Um, Regardless, here's what we've got. We've got Caitlyn Yumi, which isn't a very good combo. Um, Caitlyn likes to be able to poke, but doesn't feel so safe to do so against Leona. Leona's got to engage in. And if she gets on top of Caitlyn and kills her, Yumi's got to feel real bad because Caitlyn's dead and now she's just limping back and probably got to get a double kill out of this. So, and this is not a good lane combo. And they're going to feel pushed in a lot because they don't feel like they can. Because, like, imagine for a second they push in now and the jungler comes down. Even if he's in vision and y'all start running away, it's not going to matter with his jump, her engage, any sort of ADC to follow. Is going to feel real bad if Caitlyn ever dies because then, or doesn't have flash because then Yumi's dead also. So they got to be pushed in a lot. Um, so we're already falling into some issues because of the Caitlyn pick, straying away from our original plan. Um, but the Caitlyn pick doesn't ruin the whole clump. But right now we don't have wave clear. We don't have a magic threat. And they lock in Lissandra, and then they lock in. Why am I blanking here? Then they lock in Isaiah. Why was that so hard for me to think of? And this is typical Henry Clay. We've got incredible engage, disengage. I mean, imagine for a second, you all engage onto Lissandra. She just ults one of you or ults herself. Zaya can press R. They've got incredible engage, disengage. If you are trying to match them in team fight, you are going to lose every time, no matter how far ahead you are. They just have the better team fight. Y'all did not pick for the better team fight with these picks compared to theirs. You all also don't have a good AP threat. So realistically, you have some options. You either get a strong AP threat that can help you team fight, because if you don't get a nice AP threat, they build armor, y'all lose. Period. Done. Doesn't matter how far ahead any one of you get. This is a draft conversation, and in draft they are winning, regardless of how far ahead any of you get. Almost irregardless, I should say. It is possible for one person to just win a game, but you'd have to be hard smurfing, like hard smurfing. So we think about what picks we have left. Anivia is a super strong pick for Mina, and a heavy AP threat, a good team fight threat. We've got Zoe. Zoe actually counters Lissandra pretty well, and is a huge AP threat. They're going to build MR. I wouldn't say she's the best pick into their team comp, but she is a threat and she's got poke. And let's be honest here, like let's say y'all do get ahead. You've got some really good siege options with Caitlyn, Yumi, Zoe, that you don't have otherwise because Zoe poke and zone of control with her sleepy trouble. So like let's just imagine the scenario for a second, where y'all are sieging up mid. Let's say Tyler's pushed up top. So basically what Zoe would do in this team fight is throw out sleepy troubles. Leona can't step up super close to start any sort of engage. So that means they're looking for flanks from the side. But if that happens, they 2v1 here and just run it down top. And Yumi presses R and Caitlyn runs away while this happens, and just tries to soak up damage. And if they try to back with them, then they can just move forward again. And these guys can move back again and play the sort of game of cat and mouse where they feel stretched thin. And so Yumi's Sleepy Trouble here is really good because it's going to force them to go from a flank. They have to flank to start any sort of team fight. Lissandra can E this way, he can E this way, but they're not going to be able to go forward and back, especially with the traps. and with the sleepy trouble, you all have incredible siege, right? But we don't pick Zoe. I'm not even sure Anivia would have been a good pick for sieging anyway, because if we think about what Anivia does, it she can stop Zach's jump, but it is the most incredible hard thing to time, so it's not realistic to have it happen and rely upon it. So really, he's just jumping over her wall. Lysandra can E under her wall and traps. Leona doesn't even have to really do anything in this scenario. Really, these three could do anything, and Leona could literally just be non-existent in this game, and Zaya, Lysandra, and Zach can engage on this pretty easily. So you don't have siege potential if you're split. You don't even have siege potential if you're as a 4. Um, you don't have dive potential with these guys. You don't have the poke. Um, they can get around the things that Anivia puts down. She puts down her R, Zach jumps over, she engages from a flank. Like it's not realistic for Anivia to do this. She's not a side lane threat. And that's another option is you know, looking for some high AP and maybe we want to do a 1-3-1. Let's talk about the fact that Mina's a ridiculously good Katarina. Katarina's not good into Lysandra, but maybe Set tries to match Lysandra and Katarina's just looking to split push and be a threat elsewhere, and then Shove looked to team fight and dive. Now you actually do have some dive threat, and especially with Azumi on top of her to keep her protected. This is definitely an option. It's not the perfect option. I think Zoe was one of your best options, but it's not that bad. So they've got this incredible team fight. You all either need to match team fight, you all need some disengage, or you all need to have a strong split pusher to do a 1-3-1. Mina doesn't have this champ, but actually, I think Galio was the best mid for this, because if we think about what was transpiring, and I know I said I wouldn't talk about what actually happened in the game, but I just want you to think about it for a second. Set was pushed up, Wolfgang was hovered, Zach would show up, Lysandra would sometimes show up. Let's say Galio was mid with these guys sieging up, and Lysandra's now got to decide, do I keep watching these guys lose these 2v2s and lose everything, or do I go help? And Lysandra goes and helps. Galio ult gives a spell shield. They got rid of Morgana, but she can only spell shield one person. Galio actually spell shields everyone. Galio was a really good pick here, especially with as good as Tyler was split pushing. Galio provides that global help to instantly engage. He's also would have been incredible in team fights too for this same reason. His ult, the hero's charge, like imagine for a second, Jarvan and Set go all in onto their comp, but they don't have. They're not going to tank forever. In comes Galio to smash down. We've got Yumi on Caitlyn, keeping her mobile, keeping her hitting from a distance while these guys just try to create some chaos. It's definitely a great pick into the team fight. I think it's the only realistic option you have. The only other thing I could possibly think of would be Xerath. Xerath as your last pick is good for a different reason. Obviously, he's not engaging with them, but now you've got incredible poke and siege potential, just like you have with the Yumi, but you have a nice lane counter to Lysandra. If you think about what this team wants to do, is they're looking to engage. You could poke them out before they ever engage, and then they don't feel so good about engaging, right? Like, let's say you're setting up for Dragon and all this kind of stuff. Xerath just raining out Qs from a distance, from a safer distance. And if they ever get tired of his poke, Set and J4 are the frontliners, which are pretty good, I guess, in this particular scenario where they're tired of Xerath and going all in on him because he's just raining fire down from a distance. And then you've got these 4 to round it out. That's a good AP threat. That's good poke. That's good siege. That's just a good option. I don't know. We go with Karma. Here's where the issues of everything break down for me regarding the Karma pick. It goes back to what I said earlier. If they build armor, these 3 feel bad. You needed a high AP threat. Karma is not the AP threat that a lot of people think she is. Yeah, she has a lot of burst with her empowered Q, but she doesn't have that enough in a team fight scenario. She's not getting off 10 of those in a team fight. like Xerath might. Like Xerath's a better version of Karma if you're looking for the AP poke. Like if that was your, if you're like, I'm looking for Karma for AP poke, just take Xerath. He's just better for that. If you're like, I'm looking for Karma for shields, because we got Karma, Yuumi. Well, if she's going for the shields, then where's your magic threat damage? They just build armor. It doesn't matter how much shielding and healing you've got. They just build armor. It doesn't matter how far ahead Set or J4 or Caitlyn get. If they stall this game out enough with their wave clear, which they've got with Lysandra and Xayah, and they wave clear out long enough for these three, Aurelia, Zac, and Leona, to get armor, which is in their natural build path. Like Leona likes Knight's Valid, Zac likes Thormail and Branduin's. Aurelia goes Death's Dance pretty frequently and likes it. Like these are good builds for them, and if they get these things, I don't see how. And she gets Zanya's. If they get these things, I don't see how Caitlyn, J4, and Set deal with that. Like, yeah, Set would build a Black Cleaver to shred their armor, but at that point, it just feels bad. It just feels so bad because they're not going to ever have to build MR. They can itemize so easily against you and quickly against you, and it's just going to feel bad. Had this been the Ezreal pick, I still would have felt bad about this comp because you don't have magic damage. Now, that being said, there actually is an option, and there's a lot of argument online about it, is instead of Bork as one of Ezreal items, go Liandry's, because it does max health instead of current percent health. And with the Iceborne and the slows, it's doing more burn. It's actually a ridiculously good item into this comp, but that would have been such a late build. I don't know if it would have come into effect and mattered. And so I don't think that at this point that the Ezreal is the bad thing. I think Karma makes this a struggle. But had this been Zac here for you all instead, maybe y'all first pick Zac or something and keep them from ever getting it, or in your first rotation goes Set Zac. Then I think this comp is ridiculously good. Okay, let's think about this for a second. Karma and Yuumi put out very small amounts of AP, not enough for them to build MR. But with Zac on top of it, if they don't build MR, if they're like, I don't see an AP threat, I'm not building MR, you all have seen the damage starts at the end of a game. You all have seen the damage Zac puts out. And all of that is magic damage from his Sunfire, from his Thormail, from his abilities alone. It's not Sunfire Cape, but it's, what I mean, the Cinder Hulk, whatever. That amount of magic damage is actually kind of absurd on Zac because of how much he's in these fights and how much damage he's doing. If they don't build MR, you actually will put out a lot of damage. And if they do build MR, finally your team feels a little bit better about how things are going. So I think the Zac pick would have been way better than the J4 pick. Y'all are just missing too much damage with this particular comp that you have, and so essentially, I think your only real win condition here is to win lane, win game. Y'all didn't take Ezreal, that's right. Hold on a sec. Win lane, win game, and it's not just one lane that has to win. It's gotta have to be everyone. Caitlyn can't get behind because she's building the same items as Xayah, so if she gets behind, Xayah will always be ahead. Even if she doesn't build the same items, it's the same cost of those items. The price tag is high. They have a good mixed damage threat, so you're all building MR and magic resist. I just feel like if you ask any one of you all how this first comp went after you picked it, every single one of y'all will say, except for maybe one of you would say it wasn't fun to play. It didn't feel like you could do anything. And even one of you, Tyler, got ahead. Felt so useless late game because everyone else was behind. But I think even if they weren't behind, I think even if they were ahead, Set would have felt useless because of how they just got to stack armor and they didn't have to worry about, even your Black Cleaver wasn't shredding enough because they never had to itemize into MR ever. And so Karma here felt super useless. and asking Mina how she felt about having to itemize into a Ludens just to try to get some AP damage, which is like the worst way to build a Karma, and that's not her fault. You all forced her in the last pick of the game to be the magic damage threat, and that's not Karma's role. Like that's where the issue comes in is you force this last pick to be the magic damage threat, and you put her on a champ that's not going to be the best of that, and so she has to itemize differently than a Karma would like. Karma would like to build Athene's Ardent Sense of Rabadons, which means she's getting that AP third, and she's not getting the Rabadons for that empowered Q. She's getting the Rabadons because her empowered shield at that point would be a ridiculous thing. Like, imagine for a second that you all had the comp you wanted with the Ezreal. Um, and maybe we change this over to Zach, like Sean was saying. Y'all have the magic damage threat, but Karma never feels forced to go into Ludens of all items and can go Athene's Ardent and Rabadons for the shielding. And this Ezreal will never die. Ezreal will build Iceborne Gauntlet, Man Immune, Death's Dance, and Boots. And within those 4 items, like we just look at the math. Like we think about 4 items on Ezreal and 4 items on Xayah on their traditional build path. Xayah has to get Essence Reaver, Rapid Fire, Infinity Edge, and Boots. That's 10,700 gold. Ezreal can be behind and still have 4 items and be better. Like his is 9,800. At that point, you have an extra 800, an extra 900 gold to spend on something. That could be a blasting wand towards Leandries that we were talking about, or that could be an executioner, which is 800. That's if he's even. If he's behind, if he's losing, he's actually still even because of the way he itemizes. He doesn't need as much gold to be stupid strong, and he's never gonna die with this, like with this Death Dance. And let's say they're putting out a stupid amount of AP damage with Lysandra because she got fed. Uh, Fun fact: Spirit Visage doesn't just amplify his own healing with Death Dance; it also amplifies the healing that Yumi's on top of him. Yumi's sitting here healing him. Spirit Visage and Yumi synergize, not Yumi getting Spirit Visage. It's Ezreal, so this is probably misleading to write like that, but Yumi's pressing E on Ezreal. Spirit Visage amplifies all the healing received to Ezreal, so he actually gets to heal more. And so everything is synergizing so incredibly well. This Ezreal will be untouched, right, in any fight. And so he gets to just rain Qs from a distance, and if he builds that Leandries as a last item, he could be that mixed damage threat. They're never going to kill him. If he wants to go Executioner instead, or Mortal Reminder, I mean, Mortal Reminder for Armor Shred, then Set doesn't feel like he has to be the one to do this. Set wouldn't have had to build the Black Cleaver. He doesn't need to be the one to shred their armor. He needs to. He could feel better about being the one to split push and match side lanes or dive the back line. And if he wants to go more tank, that's fine too. But he doesn't feel like he has to build Black Cleaver to be useful to the team. Maybe he feels like he has to build Black Cleaver to be useful against his enemy counterpart, but I disagree on that. You all know my opinions on that. Aurelia with just Ninja Tabi. Black Cleaver was not worth it into Ninja Tabi. Honestly, at that point, just get a lethality out of him. Like, I don't know, Edge of Night. Imagine that for a second, actually. Let's just imagine for a second Edge of Night on Ezreal in this game, where he's got Cleanse is E, you've got Karma Shields and Yumi heals and ult, and Ezreal's going to feel so untouched that he's got to feel like he can do whatever he wants in this game. I actually think Vayne would have been a fine pick here too, because then it doesn't matter how much armor they build, right? And y'all just protect the ever living crap out of him. Everyone spends their time protecting him. He would have had a bad time in the laning phase, but at least there's an option. Let's throw this over here and let's put J4. I think the mistakes here in this draft was not building any disengage and still trying to build a team fight. Straying from your own plan that you all had already made. Not having a plan for if they banned any of those champs. And I think the Garen ban was bad. I think the J4 pick was never a good idea in my mind. Um, I would have preferred anything else. Um, and I mean that very literally. And I'm sorry to say that. I never thought that overloading this much AD was a good idea. I'm kind of rambling now, so I'm going to end this. But these are my thoughts on this draft. I think this is how it played out. You all saw exactly what it was they were doing, and you all did not respond to it in a realistic way. And so blaming what happens in the game is a silly thing to do, considering if they stall long enough, it was over anyway. So it wouldn't have mattered how far any one of you got ahead. The only realistic win condition that you all have with the comp that you all got was everyone had to win lane to win this game. And even then, I don't even know if it would have been possible. Like I'm not sure. I think this was one of the hardest games for you all to win based on what was drafted.